Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Nick, and today we are talking about Thoughts Are Things. Working with the Law, Part 1.
Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set. Hey, Kisma.
Hello, what's going on?
Oh man, I'm having a great day. I feel awesome today.
You're having a great day. You feel awesome today.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Were you not feeling awesome yesterday?
It's not like I've been having horrible days.
What the heck's going on?
No, I feel really good. But I got to give a shout out to you, and maybe we'll bring this book onto the podcast at a certain point. But the book, Making the Leap.
The Big Leap.
The Big Leap. Yeah.
The Big Leap. Good one. Gay Hendricks. Yeah. So good.
The Big Leap.
And definitely tied into our segment today.
It is tied into our segment today. But you, in a very artful way, I have to tell you.
Ordered you your own copy.
No, I ordered that one.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got me some other books.
Did.
But
I'm very possessive of my books.
No, but you did hand it to me because you saw something in a pattern. I won't get into all. It's not relevant to the conversation, but you saw something in a pattern of mine, and you very artfully said, "Hey, you should check this out," and it really connected.
And I don't think I used the word "should" either.
I don't think you did.
I probably went, "Oh, you might be interested in this, but maybe not."
That sounds more like it. Probably something more like that. Anyway, I ordered a copy of myself and I was reading through it, and I found it to be really, really helpful, and really opened up some new ways for me to kind of look at myself and some things. And so anyway, long story short, thank you. We'll bring that book on at a certain point as well. And I feel awesome. How about you?
Yeah, good day too. Had some beautiful clients. Had a little bit of coursework that I'm working on. Went to the dentist, things like that.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great week. Getting it done. But I'm really excited about this episode because you know me. I'm such a geek.
You get all jazzed up. This is a great book.
Yeah.
The book that we're referring to here is called Working with the Law.
So good.
It's written by Raymond Halliwell. I don't remember exactly
I think
when.
In the 60s.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 50s or 60s. Right. You guys probably by now know we don't read a lot of current stuff. I mean, we do for business, like The Big Leap. That's current and excellent. But so much of what we read, digest, study is pre-1960.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't say the original copyright here. It says, oh, no, it does. Copyright is 1964. Yeah, so there you go. There's just something about these books, and it seems the further back you go. So the language, this one in particular, I felt like the language slowed you down.
Yes, which is good because you go deep.
Exactly. It's not a book that I personally couldn't tear through and be like, just consume the whole thing. It slowed me down enough that I really had to consider what was being said. And that's one of the things I like about the language that's just different enough.
Yeah.
It's cleaner and clearer for one, but it's also different from what we're used to.
Right.
And it makes you slow down and really read it in a different way. But it's not so different like trying to read like some of the really ancient texts that you really have to study the language of it and everything like that. So
Working with the Law.
Working with the Law.
And we're going to talk about
the law of thinking. Law of mind action.
Mind action, the law of thinking. Thoughts are things. Dude.
Thoughts are things.
It's just the way. It's just the truth.
It is. It is just the truth. And he says right here at the very top of this, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, from Proverbs. And that's another one that came up was As a Man Thinketh, that little thin book.
Right? James Allen.
Yeah. So I don't know know for you, this is something that's been on my mind for a really long time. When I was back in my trumpet playing days, I made a big pilgrimage down to see this big trumpet teacher down at IU. He had retired from IU, but he still taught out of his home. Just an iconic trumpet teacher. Went down to teach him not to teach him. That would be really awkward. But anyway, I went down to have a lesson with him, and when I originally set it up, he said, hey, you should check out these books. And one of them was As a Man Thinketh. And another one, if you haven't read it, you might really enjoy, is Zen and the Art of Archery.
Oh, right.
He did know. And another one that he recommended was Psycho-Cybernetics, which deals a lot with also with mind. And these are older books. They're all older books. But they're very, very cool. And in a performance aspect, this idea of really utilizing your thoughts in a very productive and clear way is absolutely vital.
Absolutely. And I think that whether you and I both have a musician background, we work with musicians, sometimes we work with artists, we work with entrepreneurs, top industry professionals. People that come in as clients are usually seeking a very, very high level of accomplishment in their world or their business. And oftentimes they will forget the most important skill, which is managing the thoughts.
Yeah.
Because if we can't manage our thoughts, we're unable to direct. I mean, when I think back to when I was a musician, man, I wish I knew what I know now, because my thoughts were going all over the place.
Right.
I was worried, how am I going to audition? What if I mess up? What if I drop my flute? I mean, crazy making, right? So now we know, like, those thoughts must be so congruent with the skill that we're developing through the body, or the skill that y'all are developing, whether it's on your computer, whatever your profession is, or even as a coach or a healer, whatever. We have a skill. We may have a system, but if our thoughts are not formulated towards what it is we want to create or how it is we want to be, we're in trouble.
Yeah. All right, but I want to highlight something that's really cool that I think made this easier for you, is that you did apply it in your flute playing towards the end of that, or you never would have been successful.
Yeah, I did.
In it. And sure, there was weird things around the performance, and all that kind of, like dropping your flute. Like,
yeah, I mean, I never dropped my flute. Just FYI, I was really good. So let me just insert that, having a moment of nervousness here.
I used to have this funny thing when I would sit on stage, especially if I had a very delicate thing, and the delicate stuff is
for trumpet.
Yeah, especially on trumpet, but I think for any instrument, the really delicate stuff is honestly, that to me, like, that's the most terrifying things. You got something really delicate and you got to really get it. And then I would just have this urge inside of me to just yell at the top of my lungs. And I would imagine myself sometimes just yelling out in the middle of the orchestra.
Oh, golly.
And I never did that. But that was that feeling that was building up inside of me and building those thoughts. So what's cool about it, though, is that you had a thing. And a goal that you could apply this in.
Yes, I did.
Very specifically.
I did. And I did. I remember when I started thinking about being a professional flutist, I was 12 years old, and I saw myself in an orchestra, like playing Beethoven, the whole thing. Like, I really did.
That's so cool. Now, where I think it gets complicated for people is when they try to apply it to everything all at once. Okay, so I think that was an easier in. And for me, it was all about, learning the trumpet. And my major thing with performance is performance anxiety. Like, I had a really tough time with feeling confident stepping on stage and all that kind of stuff. Like, so I knew that the mental game for me was a deal breaker. If I couldn't get that together, then I wasn't going to be able to do anything.
Right.
So I just dove into it. Now, he says here, and this is what I thought was interesting, is the ruling state of mind is made up of various mental attitudes, which the individual adopts towards things, events, and life in general. If his attitudes are broad in mind, optimistic in tone, and true to life, I'm going to come back to that part, true to life, his predominant mental state will correspond and exhibit a highly constructive and progressive tendency. Okay?
Boy, there's a lot there.
There is. See, that's what I mean.
Yeah, just one little paragraph, people. Don't worry, we're not reading the whole book.
Yeah, it's really rich, though. So various mental attitudes. Okay, so that to me is like, that's one of the parts where, okay, people try to apply it to everything all at once. And it's like, it gets a little overwhelming.
It does.
So I think about this as the easiest in to start to really use this practice is find something that you're choosing to be excellent with. Just one thing that's going to really have an impact in your life, and something that's important to you. And it helps to build that muscle. Yeah,
because thinking is a muscle.
Thinking is totally a muscle.
And so, for instance, if you're working on a business, when I help someone, especially if they're a coach or they have their own business, if they're focused on the sales they're not making, they will make less sales. I remember being at an event probably 4 years ago, and there was a gal there, and all she kept saying is, I haven't had a sale in 4 months. I was like, you have to stop saying that now.
Stop saying that.
Because every time you say it, you embed that energy and that focus, and the law of mind actions of what we focus on grows, including what isn't there. Because what isn't there, according to the law of duality in the universe, the opposite is there.
Yeah.
It's waiting to come in, but it's certainly not going to come in if you keep calling more of nothing.
Yeah. Ooh, that can be really frustrating though.
Oh, it can be so frustrating.
It's like, okay, so that's the law. If you have a desire, the desire is already fulfilled.
It's out there.
That's it.
Because you have the opposite of it.
The desire is already fulfilled. That can be the really frustrating part of like, where is it? It's not in my hot little hand. Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is it? I don't have.
Yeah. And so the focus is on I don't have.
I don't have. And it gets into that. I haven't made a sale in X amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, like that can be really, really frustrating. Or the still.
Oh, take out still.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about still.
Still is a word that will halt us. It'll stop our momentum. It'll stop our movement, and it will further. It's like if you think of a wheel that's just turning in quicksand, you're going to go deeper and deeper down when you use the word still.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to lie. I was even catching myself. I forget who I was talking to, but I felt a certain way, and it was a continuation of how I felt. And it wasn't even necessarily good, bad, or negative or positive. I started to use still, and I was like, no, I continue to have this feeling. I continue to feel this way, or simply I'm feeling this way.
Right.
Right. So there is such a subtle nuance, though, that still is going to embed. And that is an example, because the other piece as you're saying, utilize law of mind action on something, start with one thing that you're working on.
Well, so your mind can start to see it work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other piece is understand that as you build this muscle, as you become really a master of your mind, you will understand at the most nuanced layer and level how you think of something that seems so ordinary or so just typical is affecting how you're creating life.
Right. Right.
So it's like in every little layer of our being, when we begin to notice, and not with fear, not with judgment, not with worry, but just like, holy cow, I just thought about this and I could have thought about it this way.
Yeah.
And so to me, I get really geeked out and excited.
Well, yeah, because you start to get into all the little nuances of it. But for people who are having a tough time just even like controlling their thoughts or getting their mind reined in enough, that's my recommendation.
Absolutely.
Like, find something that you're going to be excellent in and just be awesome at that. Like be really, really, really diligent with that one thing. And then all those little things will start to sparkle, and you'll start to see all the little.
Well, you'll just feel better. I mean, we know that the way we feel is directly related to what we're thinking. All we have to do when you're having a funky day, just like you came in, Nick, I feel great today. Your thoughts are at a very elevated stream.
Yes.
And
I want to add to that is that that there was a conscious choice. There was a conscious choice behind it. I woke up feeling awesome today, which was great. You know, like I especially awesome, I should say. I usually wake up feeling pretty good, but today I woke up feeling like, oh, like, wow, like this is really cool. And throughout the day, and I went through a variety of different activities. I had several conversations with different people, some really interesting conversations. I did some different things. I was up at the center. I was at all this different stuff. And throughout all of it, I was having these little check-ins, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep this going and not allow myself to default to that least common denominator.
Right. Right.
There was a conscious choice there to be like, yeah, this is awesome. I want to keep it going. Now, circling back for a second, because you were saying, we were talking about still and you were talking about truth. And that's what I wanted to highlight here. If his attitudes are broad in mind, optimistic in tone, and true to life.
True to life, meaning true to universe, God. What does that mean?
True to life means, to me, true to the nature of life, true to the nature of being, true to the highest. So, there's always higher and higher levels of truth. Still is not a truth.
Correct.
Because there's nothing still in the universe.
No, everything's moving. Got it. That's a good little takeaway.
Right? So there's always that piece there.
Still is not a truth.
Right. Still is not a truth at all. Things are always moving. It's a matter of your level of discernment. So I was having a conversation with a skeptic about this, and I thought it was really interesting because I don't think there's anything necessarily like inherently wrong with skepticism.
Oh, it's great. It makes us inquire.
Right. I think it can be used in a really healthy way. And they're skeptic about some of the energy tools that we teach, and that, and like, I just don't know, and I've seen whatever. They're skeptic about it. And I said, okay, well, and I told the person, I'm like, you are more than welcome to keep your skepticism. You can have that.
Hang on to that doubt.
Have it as long as you want. But here's how you use it. And this is a really important piece. I said, when you use the tools, you don't ask, let's see if anything changes.
Let's see what changed.
Let's see what changed.
Yeah, that's good.
That's your skepticism, okay? Is to really look into it in a discerning way and see like, okay, I know it's impossible for everything to be still, so let's see what we're shifting.
Good.
Let's see what is shifting.
So good.
That's a higher level of truth. And I think that's what he means when he says true to life. It's true to those highest principles of living and the highest principles of our universe. So
love that. Good one.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there, step one is just be willing to notice.
Yes.
Be willing to notice your thoughts without kind of, like I said before, there's no guilt, there's no beating yourself up. I mean, the fastest way, of course, is to listen to your words, because oftentimes our thoughts get spun out of our mouth and into sentences and whatever. And when we listen to our words, we're able then to reverse engineer and be like, I wonder what I'm thinking when I just blurted out this whole negative thing about somebody or about myself.
Yes.
So it's almost like we have to go into that quietude space to be willing to examine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we cannot change what we don't know. It gets really messy.
Yeah.
So this is part of what happens when people use the law of mind action for law of attraction. I'm going to think about this. I'm going to get it. And oftentimes just that brings about so much in our life. But when people don't really know what they're focused on, or they're not really sure what they're wanting to build, it's just a bunch of noise.
Yeah. Just more and more noise. And you're always going to be your own blind spot.
Absolutely. If you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label on the outside.
That's why having trusted mentors and coaches is incredibly vital.
Right.
Like if you don't have that, you need, like, that's a thing that you really do need if you want to really move rapidly on this path. That you're going to go way, way faster with that. That you remind me of one of my isms. I have a new ism.
What's the ism?
If it's in your word, it's in your world.
Absolutely.
So when it's showing up in your language, you can be sure that is showing up in your world in some way.
Including swear words. Sorry, people.
Yeah. I've cut it out.
Yeah, we don't swear much.
Yeah, really.
We don't much because, excuse me, we know what it does.
Yeah. There's worse
things. You
get
to choose. There's worse things.
Yeah.
You guys get to choose.
Worse things that you
something to contemplate. If you're saying the SHIT word a lot and you're frustrated with a bunch of poopy stuff in your life, just like it's worth a try to take out shit in your language.
Yeah, just take it out. I see that. That's a funny thing. I could do a whole other segment on that, but where people who they're really attached to using their foul language, and they think that it makes them raw or more authentic or something like that. And
not to me. I don't know.
Well, okay, so this would be my insight into that. For whatever you gain in connection to people who relate to that language and want to feel like somebody's being really real and raw, and that foul language is a way to do that. whatever you think that you're gaining through that, I can guarantee you are losing 10 times on the other end of that.
Yeah, it's true.
As far as just what it's creating in your world energetically. And that will impact your finances. It will impact your relationships. It will impact your health, given enough time. If you pollute your field with that.
That's true. Goes right in the field. So part of mind action.
Yeah. So you're more than welcome to keep that, or you're more than welcome to try a challenge and just remove it from your life for a week and tell us how it goes.
That would be cool.
All curse words for a week. Done.
Oh, that's cool. Challenge people. All right.
He goes on. Whatever we think in our minds must grow. Why do you suppose the farmer goes out to weed his garden and works tediously to eliminate every weed? Because he knows that if he does not clean out the weeds, they will grow stronger and tougher and choke out his crop. If some condition handicaps us, perhaps a weed that must be plucked out, it is important to know that the condition is the effect that we see. It is not the true cause we seek. Dig down deep into the mental storehouse and find out what is that cause. If we cannot discern it, there are others who can. Right?
This is great advice.
And speaking to that, back to that of like, if
you can't find it, if you're getting to a place, I mean, let's just say everyone who's listening to this podcast, you've probably been through several episodes and you know that there's a wealth of information within you to really dissect and observe and weed out, dissect, observe, weed out. If you need more help, then you reach out to us or someone else. But this is why you and I always have people we work with or coaches or whatever, because it's that observer to look within. Sometimes it actually takes another human to notice what we're thinking because we're so attached to thinking it that we don't see it as the observer and therefore we don't eliminate it. And this happened yesterday. I reached out to somebody. She was interested in some coaching. I was going to set her up with the Ultimate Life Tool. And she didn't reach back out, I just sent her a cute little quote, or it was a really sweet little quote. And then she was just like, not right now. I'm like, cool, why? And she described herself in such agony of having had to take action. And I was like, why would you want to be in that state?
Yeah.
So this is where I know exactly what's happening. And we have some interesting gifts where we can see or know or whatever as well on top of just reading words. I'm like, but you know what? I can't force anyone and I won't. They have to want to shift that.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of you to follow it through that far.
Yeah. Well, for sure.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see the difference between people who follow through and really step in and follow that first yes, and the people who stop along the way and sabotage themselves.
Oh yeah.
And it's so sad to me to see a year down the road that people who have stepped in have made massive changes in their lives and things are so much more congruent with what they really wanted in the first place, and those who haven't wind up spinning around the same things.
Well, think about, we go back to that word still, the opposite is the movement, and follow through to me is like, I am so diligent and big on follow through. Even I just invested in doing a VIP day with someone. I'm not going to mention who right now, but I didn't hear from their team. Like I'm emailing. It's like, hey guys, like when are we going to get this going? Like I'm following through. And it's just interesting. It's just a way. Yeah. I have to keep the energy moving, have to keep it going.
You're super good at that. It's something that really inspires me, actually.
Well, it cleans it up, close the loop, yes, no, whatever. We get to close the loop. We don't spin out on our thoughts. What we're focused on is moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. In the spinning, that's a really
spinning
cool
is
one.
Not a good way to think.
I want to bring that back in before we close out, because the spinning part is like, you spin around the same thoughts and again and again and again. What do? You entrench them. If you're in a car and your car is stuck in the mud and you're hitting the gas and the wheels are spinning, what's it doing? It's digging you in deeper.
Yeah, like a rocking chair. So, only the rocking chair isn't digging you. You're just like not going anywhere.
Right. So the longer that you're in that, the more inertia sets in. The digger you deep in, and the more you dig in, the more distance you're going to have to cover to get out.
Right. If ever.
So that's really the biggest thing is. Why would you stay stuck? Don't stay stuck. There's nothing, you don't get any extra prizes if you figure it all out yourself.
That's right. You really don't.
You really don't.
Probably took a few more lifetimes.
It just cost you more time.
But back to that opening of the quote, what you think about expands.
Yeah. What you think about expands.
Just start there. That is a mind-blowing concept. Truth. It's not a concept, it's a truth. What we think about expands.
Yep. So what are you thinking about?
Another great way to start with all this, we've talked about this before, is just gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, if you're really struggling and you're really in that place of everything, what you're not getting, what isn't working, you can stay there. It's like, Nick, I like how you're using that. We can invite you to stay there, your choice. Or you could take 5 minutes and make a list of things you're grateful for. You could tap your heart and think about someone or something you're grateful for. You will feel the shift. It might be subtle, but the more you do that, the more your thoughts are there, things shift inside of you and around you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. So that is the law of thinking, or thoughts are things. Like your thoughts will create. If it's in your word, it's in your world. It will create your world, and it'll reflect. Your thoughts will reflect through your language. So that's what the moral of the story here is, everybody, is start paying attention.
Yes.
And if you're not paying attention at all, like just start paying attention. And if you are paying attention, be willing to dive into that extra layer, because that's where the magic, like Kismet described it so beautifully, like it's where the magic is, like
it really
the
is.
Amazing little things that you would never think, you know, or that make such a huge impact. And that's so cool.
There was a concept I was studying this week that our own growth is directly related to the level, the depth, the willingness we have to look at our own truth and not run from it. Like we can look at our truth, and then what happens? We check out, we have a glass of wine, we run, to really face it and not run. When we can do that and do it with love, like true love and this willingness, like you're excavating so that you can be a better person.
Right.
You do that, man, you're going to get so clear and so clean really fast.
Yeah. Totally doable.
Cool stuff. Thoughts are things.
Thoughts are things, everybody. Thoughts are things.
Excited for this one. Let me just add on a little thing as well, little thing and thoughts. If you're looking for that manifestation piece, yes, keep your thoughts facing forward to the highest and stay in action.
Yes.
Because everything happens faster. Consistent action yields consistent results. The whole idea of this thoughts are things is that it creates an energy, a presence, a disposition in us that actually makes it easier for us to stay in action.
Yeah.
So we don't stop. Humans are designed to move, to be in action, to create, to manifest, and to express.
Yeah.
So go have it, everyone. We'd love to hear from you. How is this law of mind action working out for you? info@sourcemovement.com, or go to the show notes, just wherever you're listening, you'll see our little show notes, and, post underneath the comments. Just let us know, because it's pretty cool. Send me a message on Facebook. This is a conversation worth having for the rest of our lives.
It really is. It really is. And share it.
Please.
Share it on out and share it with somebody that you think would really benefit from this, or somebody that you think really needs to hear it. And share the love, everybody. You get what you give.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
We'll have to cover that one in one of the future episodes. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.
Namaste. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.